Hello out there, space simmers and flight simmers. I'm just a tourist at the Frag Nav console, and today I'm reviewing my new Thrustmaster T16000M FCS joystick. So, my background is I play Star Citizen, and I play Star Citizen with dual sticks, and I have been playing for a while with two Logitech Extreme 3D Pros. And so I upgraded my left stick to the Thrustmaster T16000M. I am left-handed, so this is my primary stick, and so it was nice to get a stick like this that allows me to play comfortably left-handed. But overall, initial impressions, and just a kind of a comparison, let me get this out of the way, but a comparison between the Extreme 3D Pro and the 16000M. So, right away with, I guess with stick slop here, we can talk about this one. That's how much slop there is front and back and side to side here. There's just that much slop, so that much of a dead zone that you have to worry about. You have to set a dead zone because if you're just resting in the middle position, you're going to get a little bit of movement, so you have to set up a dead zone. Now this one here, I mean, it barely moves. I mean, yeah, it doesn't move at all. It keeps it right in the center here. Now I have seen some videos where people have lightened up the spring. I might do that, but the feel of these, I mean, this one has a bit stiffer tension. I mean, it's still overall kind of smooth, but I can feel some transitions, but this one just feels a lot smoother going around. However, one issue I notice is when you get to the center, there is kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, not really a pop, but it really wants to stay in that center zone when you go through it. So if you're not going through it while you're flying around, you're fine. But if you do go through that center zone, there is a tiny bit of a jerk there, which may or may not matter to you, but maybe if I lighten up the spring, that'll go away. Now, the other thing that I will note that I am going to do something about is this orange light. It goes off after 3 seconds of inactivity, but then when you move the stick around again, it lights up. Now, I like to play my space sims in the dark, right? So I don't have the lights on, I just have the computer screen, and this light down here is very annoying, especially, I mean, if it would just stay on full time, it wouldn't be as bad. But since it wants to turn off and on, and I downloaded the software for it, there's no way you can change that, so we're going to go ahead and do something about that. And we're going to do a little bit of joystick surgery. Oh, and I will mention here, this joystick I set up for left-handed. It is ambidextrous. It comes with, well, these are the original right-handed ones that came installed, but changing it to left-handed is very simple. I have a video on that. This side thing just pops right off. And that comes out. And you use the other one that came with the joystick, just pops in there. Screw goes in. And then there is the pad that also should have come with the joystick. That goes right there and there. Now it's left-handed except for the base. The base is also easy. 3 screws, one right here, 2 down here. Whoops. Try not to drop it. Just spin it around. And there we go. All done. Alright, so we're unplugged here. Looks like there's going to be about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws in the bottom. Oh, and also another thing I noticed is it has these there's 2 holes on the bottom here that have metal threads in there. So if you wanted to like bolt this down to a table so that it just absolutely will not move, you can do that, and that's a nice little option here. I don't think, yeah, this joystick doesn't have that. I suppose you could modify it, but it's nice that this comes with that option so that you can do that if you're more serious into making your own little sim pit. Oh, and while I'm doing this, I'll mention one other thing. There's a switch down here for left-handed and right-handed mode. It changes the button mappings up here. I don't see why they have that though. I mean, just set it up in your key bindings and just do it that way. I don't see why there needs to be a switch there. Screwdriver won't fit in there, so no lightening of the spring. But there are videos on lightening the spring. There's 4 screws in here. My screwdriver won't fit, so I'll just keep the spring as is. But you would take these off and you'll access the spring, and you can put a couple zip ties on there, and I'll link to a video that shows you how to do that. So to disable the orange lights on the joystick, it is these 2 wires right here, right next to the switch, and there's 2 wires coming up. These power the little orange LEDs here. So I am going to clip both sides of that, and now no more orange lights. Now with that backlight, what would have made a little bit more sense is if they made the buttons somehow a little bit semi-transparent, or if they could make just like the actual, if they could number the buttons and make that transparent and put a light inside there that would just illuminate the buttons. Because if you could see the buttons on the joystick and not have to just locate them by feel, I could see that being handy. But the little orange light down there, it doesn't really illuminate any of the buttons. It doesn't make it easier to use. All it is for me is just an annoying flashing light flashing on and off while I'm trying to play a space sim game in the dark. So I think that was definitely a miss. With all due respect to whatever, I can't imagine an engineer thought that was a good idea. Probably some guy in the Thrustmaster marketing department said, "Hey, let's put a light on it," and probably the T16000M, whatever, is going to follow up and be the next one. It'll probably have RGB lighting, but hopefully they will include in their software something that will either A, make it so that it's always on but you can adjust the intensity. That would be acceptable, and I could use that. Or B, be able to shut it off completely in the software so that you don't have to take your joystick apart and clip wires. So there we go. It's back together again. I haven't been able to modify the spring on this. I don't have the right kind of screwdriver. It just takes a Phillips driver, but this one won't go in far enough. So there's other videos for if you want to modify the spring, but honestly this feels actually a little bit lighter than the Extreme 3D Pro. So I will just use this as is, and we will try it out some more. Now for other comparisons in here, aside from the fact that yeah, you can actually have a left-handed option, this isn't too uncomfortable to use left-handed, but you know, it is what it is. As far as feel, this one's definitely more substantial. This one is larger, so you have more to grab onto. Now if you have smaller hands, that might be an issue, but I don't find an issue with it. And I was playing earlier with both these sticks. I'm just going to stick with this one for my right hand because I don't need as much precision. I'm using this to strafe sideways, forward, backwards, up and down, so this one is fine for that purpose. Plus I have access to more buttons up here, but this one is going to give me the precision. Since my left hand is my main flying hand, this will give me the precision I need to be able to get on target a little bit better and stay on target a little bit better while I'm gaming. And also for other flight sims where maybe you're not trying to shoot other things down but you just need some precision movements, this would be really good for that also, but perhaps with the spring lightened up just a little bit. I mean, I may still try to modify it. I might just have to borrow the screwdriver and see how that goes. One other comparison here, I am losing some buttons here because there's 4 buttons up here on this joystick along with this little side button here, and even with my left hand I was able to kind of maneuver around. It wasn't the most comfortable movement in the world, but I was able to do that with my left hand. With this one, I'm losing that button on the side, and I'm also losing that fourth button on top, so I just had to do a little bit of remapping, but it would be nice if I did actually have 4 buttons up here and even that side button there. Other than that, these buttons, I'm sure it just takes getting used to. I find these a little bit difficult to find, but that's something I just have to get used to, get good at. I'm sure it won't take too long. The sliders here, they feel comparable. I do like that this one is a little bit more recessed, so that there have been times where I'll have to take my watch off while gaming, because sometimes I'll bump this and I find that I'm at a different throttle setting that I don't really want to be at, especially since I play with dual sticks. So this is a bit nicer. This does come off easily if you don't want to deal with that, if you are running dual sticks and you're controlling your forward and backward movement with your offhand stick. But I'll leave this on for now, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, so I'll show you the difference here in how the controllers respond. So we'll go to the Extreme 3D properties here in Windows, and you can see as I just move it around, the Z rotation has a lot of slop in it right there. And also, as I let it go, if you watch the crosshairs, the kind of the point it resets to isn't always the same point. So with this joystick, you're going to need to have a larger dead zone set so that you don't possibly drift off somewhere while you think you're in neutral. Slider works just fine. All the buttons work just fine. There's an 8-way point of view hat. But yeah, there is a lot more slop in this one. Now, if I go to the T1600 or 16,000, this one, I mean, it's nice and solid. I mean, I don't see any slop at all there. And finally it starts moving around as I go back here, but it always seems like it's going right back to the exact same spot there each time I move it. And there's no slop in the Z rotation, so that's going to be a lot more accurate. And of course the slider works just fine there. And I did test all my buttons to make sure that they all work after doing that. But this does have also the 8-way point of view thing. I wish there was a way, because like it would be nice to map this as if it was 8 functions, 8 separate buttons, but it's hard to get exactly the diagonal one, so I'd have to be creative with how this is mapped so that even if I do hit an adjacent one, it's not gonna mess something else up. Because it would be nice to be able to do 8 different functions here, but yeah, I'm not using it as point of view. I'm using it for other functions. I do plan to get a track IR, and that'll be my point of view, and that'll be awesome once I get that. But that's an entirely different video. So overall, I'm very happy with the T16000M. It hasn't had a huge learning curve to get used to. It's a very minimal learning curve. I mean, of course, there's a little bit of a different button layout, but I didn't find that to be too terribly difficult to overcome. After playing with it for a little while, I mean, I think maybe a little better, but I mean, I'm not like a huge amount better. It hasn't like increased, it hasn't taken my game to the next level, but it is nice to have a smoother joystick that's a little bit more precise, doesn't have as much slop in it, and also a joystick that fits my left hand a lot better. So overall, I think it is worth the price, and I wouldn't have changed my purchase decision. And I do prefer it over a Warthog because it has the twist system for rudder, or if you get 2 of them, so that you can have up and down, which the Warthog lacks that twist. So you need to get pedals, and you need to have some other way to control, that other axis that you're missing out on. So overall, I would recommend this joystick. I think it's very nice. Of course, you have to modify it if that light annoys you, as I did, but it's not too hard to modify. So there it is. I hope you found this review helpful. Thanks for watching, and I will see you around the verse.